So I got heavy text slides, but I'm not going to read them. I want to use them to spark thought and question. And I'm watching everybody on the screen. So I can see everybody, including Don. I can see everybody on the screen. I'm hoping that my slides bring thought and questions. So please unmute yourself at any time to ask any question. Look, this is 10 principles of using social media. Your mouse. So I'm pretty easy to figure out. I'm Teddy Burriss. I'm a social media strategist. I've been practicing social media since 2007. I went to teach LinkedIn as a business tool in 2010, and I eat, drink, sleep LinkedIn 24/7. I do Facebook, YouTube, Quora, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and I don't do Tinder. But I teach, so you got to, didn't I, Rick? I teach social media as a business tool. I don't do marketing. I really focus on the individual who wants to get value out of using this as a business tool. I'm easy to find. If you can't Google Teddy Burriss and find me, then I've screwed up. That's a small listing of where you'll find me. What's social media? These are websites for us to have conversations. It's all it is. It's websites for us to have conversations. It's not all about marketing. It's about you having an individual presence. You have an individual network. You have an individual reputation based on what you do using social media. I don't care if it's LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever. It's about you as a human. Social media are for humans to have human conversations. And again, unmute yourself at any point and ask me any question. I had to move the visuals of Rick and you guys over here so I can see what my talking points. Look, if you're going to use social media to create value, then you know you're creating this value for. Repeat, if you're going to use social media, you need to know who you serve, because we don't serve everybody. We need to know who our products are for. We need to be clear about that. We also need to be clear about who are the influencers, who are the people who know the people that need our services, our products, our offerings, our skills, our expertise. By the way, I'm also a career coach. So Wayne referenced my Wednesday meeting. That's a lot of fun, but it's also very deliberately focused on bringing special guests, smart people to help people in career transition. So this applies to business as well as career. You need to know who is the target person who needs what you have and who's the influencer who can introduce you to that person. And then you need to understand, what do you look like on social media? What do you look like? Your page is all about your business. Your profile, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, is all about you as a human being. Here's some, I'm going to go through this list of 10 principles. Again, my goal is to poke you, make you think and have questions for me. And yes, Harvey asked if you could have copies of my presentations. Yes, Sir Harvey, you can. Jennifer is going to give me a list of everybody's name and email address, and I'm going to email this stuff to you. You must have a clear goal and a plan in order to create success using social media. If you get on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, and you don't clearly know what your goal is, you don't clearly have at least some rudimentary plan for what you're going to do, it's a waste of time. It's just not going to give you the value that needs to get you. Again, a part of that plan is defining your target audience. A part of that plan is, where does my target audience hang out? Do I need to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp? Do I need to be on Instagram or Snapchat? Know who your target audience is and know where they hang out so you know where to join them. And social media is not just for one person in the organization. It's for all of those in the organization who are what I refer to as customer prospect focused. So we got to really think through in an organization. It's not just for the marketing department. It's for anybody who's customer or prospect focused. And social media, because it's all about human to human, I'm hoping everybody can hear me. So social media, I'm looking at the chat. Social media starts with, it's because it's all about human to human. So you starts with your personal presence, not the business page. Starts with your individual profile on LinkedIn or Facebook. Starts, and then you can add the business brand at some point. And then you got to remember this, whether you're on your personal profile or you're on your business page, it is you as the human speaking to other humans, first person, using the words and phrases that are important to them. This is really critical. Too often people build a personal profile on LinkedIn and they hire somebody to write it for them, and it's third person. Some other dude, it's Donald Duck or someone who's not important to your target audience speaking to them about you. And that is so disrespectful. First person conversations on social media. And by the way, if you want to understand the power of grammar and spell check, go to LinkedIn and look for Mangers, M-A-N-G-E-R. If you really want to get a good laugh, go look for pubic relations. Pubic relations. And hope you don't find anybody that you personally know. Harvey's like, oh, what? Look for what? Yeah, drop the L out of public and do a search. It'll blow you away with how many people make that huge mistake. Number 8, you just can't build a profile and hope and pray that people find you. Doesn't work. You've also got to build relevant networks. You got to find a way to get followers to your company pages. You got to find a way to get people to discover you. One way to do that is get individuals on your team to invite their connections to follow your company pages. Pretty cool little tactic that most people don't know about. Clearly invite the right people to follow your pages and connect with you on LinkedIn. Be clear about who you're going to accept an invite from on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever. You don't need to connect with everybody. Connect with purpose, focused on your goals. Please do not buy followers. Please do not buy connections. That is just ridiculous. And whatever you do, your actions of growing your followers, your actions to grow your connections, should not be a flash in the pan. It should be a continual amount of effort. A little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here on a regular basis. That's how you create a meaningful network, purposely focused on your goals. Number 7. A presence and a network by themselves. A very well-built LinkedIn profile and a very well-built focused LinkedIn network is not going to work by itself. You have to engage. My analogy here is very clearly this. How many of you can picture getting dressed up, putting on your best clothes, making sure your pants were a good crease in it, making sure your shirt and your tie were good, and your hair was brushed and combed, and you looked good, and you had a smile on your face? That's called presence. And it's the same thing with your LinkedIn profile. Did you build your profile right? It's called presence. Then you walk into a networking event and you walk into this building at the Grand Over, or, at Four Seasons, or, you go to, what's the, Grand, the big, country music place in Tennessee that's got 50,000 people there. You walk into this place that's full of people who know you, trust you, and respect you. And there's a group of them who haven't even met you yet, but you want to meet them and you want them to meet you. That's called networking. And you walk into this place looking good, full of people that you want to meet, and then you do this. You stand over to the corner, maybe beside the biscuits or the gravy or the cheese and the wine, and you do nothing. How can networking work? If you look good and you walk into a room that's full of the people that you want to meet and you do nothing, it doesn't work. This applies to LinkedIn and social media as well. You have to do something, and that's called engage. Harvey, paid advertising is another whole nother thing. There's value to paid advertising, but paid advertising is not the same thing as social networking. But I do paid advertising where relevant and appropriate. Social engagement is the act of getting into relevant and meaningful conversations with your target audience and their influencers. It's about getting into conversations. It may include using the like emoticon or simply saying thanks, but really meaningful engagement takes much more effort than hitting that like button and much more effort than saying thank you. That's meaningful engagement. I define it as a minimum of six words in a comment. And you pay attention when you're engaging to who's listening. You pay attention when you're engaging to what the conversation is going like. You pay attention to when you're engaging to who shows up, and what should you be paying attention to is who that person is, and are they important to your business? Are they important to your goals? And if so, maybe you engage with them more. Joyce says, I run away from lions. I do too. I have no desire to be a part of a lion. I have a huge LinkedIn network, but I treat my network very much differently than lions do. Lions, for anybody who doesn't know, is a LinkedIn, LinkedIn open networker, and they'll accept an invite from every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Betty out there. But engagement is where you get into conversations with your target audience. And it doesn't have to happen on social media. It may start there, but when you move it to IRL, in real life, just like we're doing right now, phone call, email, Skype, or Zoom call, that's when you move your network to a much more meaningful engagement. And engagement is not, I've got the best widget ever, you should buy it. Engagement is when you make the conversation all about the other person. So I had a microphone just come unmuted. Anybody have thought a question? Don, you're unmuted. Anything, or you just unmuted?
I got me unmuted. Okay. They don't let me talk too much.
Oh, good. Fire a question at me anytime anybody has a question. Number 6, giving is a powerful tactic to create success. Giving. I wrote the book Networking for Mutual Benefit. Let me see if I can't say this edict clearly, that I'm screwed up. Networking, I'll come to it later, but a huge part of networking is giving. And the same thing applies to social media. Do you remember the guy? Remember I told him earlier about the showing up at the Grand Ole Opry and you're room full of people. And do you remember that guy who was handing out flyers and brochures and business cards, and then he left? I remember these people. Do you remember that person? What did you think about that person who all they did was show up and hand out flyers? Or do you remember the person who showed up and they had stories and they shared stories and ideas, and then they listened? They listened to what you had to say and they engaged on your conversation. These are two significantly different people. And it's really rich on social media as well, as a brand or as an individual. And I tell people day in and day out, I give away everything I get paid $1 million a year to produce. I give it all away in little pieces, nuggets, jewels. And giving also is, you use what I call the 90-10 rule. I don't give away stuff that's all about Burriss Consulting. I give away stuff to help people. Burriss Consulting is associated with it because he's giving it away. But it's not about my company. It's not about me. I give away stuff that others want, and that gives me permission to eventually talk about myself. There's lots of ways to give away content, images, posts, videos, articles, documents, memes, URLs to this, links to that. Doesn't all need to be the same stuff over and over again. I follow company pages as I'm measuring what people are doing, and all they get, some of these company pages, all they give away is their brochures. You know, everything's logoed, you know, company XYZ, company XYZ, company XYZ. And they're trying to position it that they're giving you away knowledge, but they want to make sure that you're first and foremost thinking of them. And the reality is, well, this is a story I got to write. First and foremost, I want you to know I'm thinking about you. That's giving. And I have another philosophy that I follow. It's called Give True, Truhe. Webster spelt it wrong. Transparent, relevant, useful, honest, and engaging. And if it's always transparent, relevant, useful, and honest, it can be exciting, educational, entertaining. It could be a laugh. It could be a joke. It can be motivation. It could be inspiration. It could be about how to use the widgets that I sell or how to use the ideas that I give you. But it's always got to be transparent, relevant, useful, and honest. Whatever you decide you want to do, you daggone well better do it in a way that you can sustain it. It's not a race, it's a journey. Social media, again, it's a long-term game. This is not something, you know, I got clients come to me all the time. Well, Teddy, I want to make something happen in 3 weeks. It ain't going to happen in 3 weeks. You didn't build your business in 3 weeks. You didn't network yourself to success in 3 weeks. You're not going to use social media to get success in 3 weeks or 3 months. It's a long-term game. And you've got to be committed to the actions, committed to the steps. What are you going to do daily? What are you going to do weekly? What are you going to do monthly? And they're all different. You don't do the same thing. But if you can't sustain it, don't start it. You got to be working on your presence. You got to be working on your network. You got to be working on engaging, sharing, nurturing your connections, and you've got to be working on inviting the right people into meaningful conversations. Number 4. Confidence. I was on a call earlier today. I was coaching a lady, actually. I was coaching a lady earlier today. Where did I write that down? She's a photographer. And I said, so what's your business? Photography? No, it's not. That's the action. So what's your business? Photography. I couldn't get her to think past what she does, her actions. When I finally got her to think past her actions, what she said she does is she helps people be more confident. And the fact that I got her to think that way got her more confident. You've got to be confident about who you are and what you do. You've got to be very confident about your skills. You don't need to be perfect. Boy, when I started my business in 2010, I wasn't perfect and I wasn't confident either. But I quickly realized I need to get confident. You've got to believe in your brand. You got to believe in what you do. You got to believe in the value that you bring to people. Because if you can't believe it, neither will the people who are engaging with you. You learn from our mistakes. We learn from how we're getting there. We learn from what we did. Boy, I'm going to tell you, I remember in late 2010, and a brand new client, I commented on their YouTube video. And the comment was something along the lines of, great YouTube video. I really love the way those kids were involved in the conversation. I only wish that the moderator had been better at not saying ums and ahs. I meant all great value to my statement, but I screwed up because my statement was public and should never have been public. I learned from my mistakes. And we have to all learn from our mistakes. And as you learn, you grow. You grow. Listen by watching others. Mimic what you learn. Don't copy them. Do not walk the same walk someone else does, but learn what their swagger does for them. And maybe you create your own swagger using social media and engaging and building a network and building your presence. And this is all about practice. By the way, here, great question. I'm going to watch the chat. I'm watching the chat because I want you to respond. What does practice create? Anybody know what does practice create? Drop it in chat. I'm watching. I want to hear someone. I want to see if someone has the right answer. Tom, I'm good with experience. That's not the word I'm looking for. Jennifer, I'm good with mastery. I'm good with that. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not perfection. It's not perfect. I'm good with confidence and I'm good with competence. Practice makes permanent. Boom. Don gets the cookies. Don gets the cookies. Practice makes permanent. You practice swinging a golf club the right way and hitting it the right way, and you're going to practice it the same way every time. You practice anything, and you're going to be good at it because you're going to know how to do it. You're going to know the steps. The same thing with social media. The best way to get good at social media is start practicing. The cool thing about social media, for the most part, you get mulligans. So if you make a mistake, you can edit it. Not on Twitter. You make a mistake, you can delete it. Yes, you can on Twitter, and you can redo it. Amateurs, Tom, I'm a wager. You're going to agree with me when I say, okay, Tom says, amateurs practice till they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. I like that quote. I might steal that, Tom. I'm going to save that. Thank you. I like that. Absolutely. We keep practicing until we can't do it wrong anymore because we only do it the right way. Same thing applies to social media. Practice makes permanent. Number 3, measure the right stuff. Yeah, I remember Michael's statement, 476 times to be permanent at doing something. My mask is in my car. I know where my mask is. My mask is hanging up by the front door. I know where my mask is. If the doorbell rings, I don't go to the door handle until after I grab the mask off the mirror. Principle number 3, measure the stuff that's important. Likes and comments would be really nice, but they're not the most important metric. Views are nice, but they're not the most important metric. Who's engaging on your stuff? And are you able to move the right people who engage on your stuff into the right conversations? That's important. Who's in your network? Who's being attracted to you? And are they the right people? At the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is measure, do I have the right presence? Am I building the right network? And am I building the right reputation? There's lots of KPIs to measure. We need to measure the right things. And it's the sum or the compilation of all of them that's important, not any one by themselves for the most part, especially in the likes and comments and views area. Absolutely, Tom. Conversation flow leads to cash flow. Absolutely. Number
Eddie,
2.
I can stop you there. I think Harvey had a question a couple slides back about blogging.
I'm sorry, Tommy, I missed that. Harvey, I missed that. What is the value of blogging in this regard? So that's content. So if you're going to use social media, you've either got to have your own content or you've got to curate content to use. So blogging is a great way to create your own content. If you've got a blog that's rich, listen to my words, rich with content your target audience seeks, then that is a great way to create your own content. If you have a blog that is filled with content that's all about you and how great you are, and that may not be what you want to use on social media. You got to use a blog that provides content that your target audience is seeking. There's ways of doing that. Tom, thanks for bringing that up for me, or Rick, thanks for bringing that up for me for Harvey. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Integrate social media into your business processes. If you treat it like a sideline tool, it won't work. We do not turn our telephones off during the day. We do not turn emails off during the day. Some of you do not turn your fax machines off during the day. You can't turn social media off during the day. You've got to integrate it, though, into your business processes. The right social media used at the right time. By the way, here's what I did to every one of you. Look here. I brought up all your profiles. They're right here. So if you have a question, I can speak to your profile. I even found Harvey, and a little while ago, I found Alexandra. Why did I do that? Because I integrate the use of LinkedIn into everything I do, including the speaking to the groups, the what I call the niche groups or intimate groups.
You're not going to grade us, are you, Teddy?
No, you got to pay me for me to do that, Rick. I don't critique. Okay. Prospecting, customer relations, lead generation, employee engagement, on the phone with the client. I've got their profile in front of me. I can see what's going on. I can see look at the company page. I can see what new employees they got. Okay. And I adjust the processes that I should adjust to include social media when it's the right thing to do. I don't adjust processes, force social media in there. I adjust it when it's the right thing to do. And I evaluate my processes to make sure they're getting me the value I want to get. And I adjust when I need to. And I never cold call. For the most part, I never cold call. I find a way to get introduced to that person so they know who I am before I call them. And then it's not cold calling. Principle number 1, exercise and experiment. This goes back to practicing. Exercise helps us build the muscles up. I get people on a regular basis say, Teddy, it's too hard to do. It's called, I did this video. It's called drudgery. It's drudgery because you haven't practiced it. And if anything's important enough to do, you should practice it. I can do 22 freaking push-ups now. I never could do them before. How'd I get to 22? I started with 1. I got to 5. I celebrated that. I got to 10. I celebrated that. I got to 20. I celebrated that and pushed myself to keep practicing. I can dance all over this keyboard when I'm using social media because I practice the use of the keys and not just A through Z. But you experiment and you practice and you get better. Practice your messaging, practice the images, practice creating videos. I create videos all the time. With cell phone, whatever it takes. I see somebody got a video message from me today. I don't remember who that was. One of you got a video message from me. Can't remember who it was. But I practice doing these things and they're easy to do. And the more you practice, the better you get. And you have to push yourself to keep practicing. Push yourself to improve your processes. It's a bonus. Celebrate your network. Celebrate the growth of your business. Celebrate the success you have. Look, when the guy messaged me today and said, Teddy, I absolutely love your proposal. I want you to make one change on that. The change is not painful. I celebrated that. And this is a guy who's never met me. But in 3 steps, I moved him to business. And right before I came on this call at 2:00, I celebrated that. Celebrate the activity that you do. Celebrate the people in your network. Celebrate the people you serve. Celebrate everything. They're called micro celebrations. You don't go out and have a big party, but you just stop for a minute and you celebrate. Maybe it's just a big woohoo, ring a bell, but you also celebrate the people. And to that, Dale Carnegie, and I would wager most of you probably know who Dale Carnegie is, but to me, Dale Carnegie really got me to think this way. Celebrate the person I'm engaging with. So when I'm talking to Felix or Charlie or Andy or Alexandra or Joe or Joyce or Rick or Tom or Wayne, and I missed a few, Jennifer or Don, use their names. And that applies to social media as well. Use the other human's name in your post where relevant and appropriate. let them know you're paying attention to them, and do pay attention to them. Find ways to acknowledge their celebrations, their role changes, their anniversaries, their business successes, et cetera, et cetera. Engage on their company post. Pull them in with use the @ sign and pull them into a conversation. And engage across multiple platforms. If you're all on LinkedIn and everything's on LinkedIn, you're missing out for conversations on Twitter or YouTube or their blog. If their blog has the ability to comment, you really want to get someone excited, comment on their blog. That will make them feel better about you. Here's another bonus. Again, I alluded to this earlier, the 90-10 rule. Let me stop and get this question. Michael left. Bye, Michael. Alexandra says, how important is it to invest in a high-end camera of high-quality imagery capture and video versus using generic royalty-free photography? Well, so I don't think it's uberly important, Alexandra. Where's Alexandra? You can unmute yourself if you want to engage on this. I'm using a 4K webcam, and it works great for me. I take most of my pictures with my cell phone. It's got a 4K camera, decent camera. I use it. And I also buy all of my images from Deposit Photo. With the discounts I get, if you pay attention, you can find discount coupons. I pay a little less than $1 an image. And one day I was able to stack up a bunch of discounts. I got 350 images for like 80 cents for unlimited purchase. So I don't think it's uberly important to have a high-end camera. I think if you have a smartphone, you've got a high camera. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
90-10 rule. Dale Carnegie says, make the conversation all about the other person. And I agree with him 100%. I say, make the conversation all about the other person until they give you permission to make it about you. So when you're sharing content and you're engaging, it's not about Teddy Burriss, it's not about Burriss Consulting. It's about the person I'm engaging with. And if I do that enough, they will give me permission or allow me to talk about myself. And then more importantly, they would be more apt to take a look at the content that's about me. But if all day long I'm doling out brochures and flyers and white papers and case studies all about my business, and then I want to share with you something bigger about my product, my service, my webinars, they're not going to be interested because I've been all about me all along. This is huge. Most people fail at this. They make it all about themselves. They wonder why it doesn't work. It's called leading with give. Talked about earlier. This applies in public as well as private messaging. It's the 2 bonus points too. Connect on multiple social media platforms where relevant and appropriate. Excuse me. LinkedIn's one step, but do you have their email address, their phone number? Are you following their company page? Where relevant and appropriate, are you connected with them or following their business on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever? The more points of contact, the richer the opportunity for a conversation, connection, long term. Anybody know where this came from? When using social media, ask yourself these questions. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial? Anybody know where that came from?
That is the rotary 4-way test.
Absolutely. And that applies to social media as well. Harvey said, wants to know what's the name of my photo source? Deposit Photos. Deposit Photos is where I buy all my images. There are others out there as well. It's just the one that I've created the relationship with that I like. Here's another one. The Mayo Clinic social media policy. Don't lie, don't pry. Don't cheat, can't delete. Don't steal, don't reveal. This is the 12-word social media policy from Mayo Clinic, from Ferris Timon to Mimi. I can always mess his name up. from 2012. This applies to your use of social media as well. And the last one, my philosophy. Is it true? Transparent, relevant, useful, honest, engaging. This is how you create success using social media.